Okay, so the final exam will include chapter 4 and 5. Okay, the final exam will include chapter 4 and 5 in here, and then if we chapter 4 and chapter 5 are pretty much similar. Okay, solve the equation, but we usually just solve the two variable equation x and y. Okay, so this one is says solve this equation by using substitution. So what does the substitution mean? Substitution, that means you solve for x. You can look at the fourth equation here, right? And you will solve for this x in here, and then you will be able to put an x and then back to the second equation. Okay, so we can do this one like by looking at this way. All right, so I want to solve for this x in here, right? And I'm going to solve for this x by, from the first one, we'll add a 3y on both sides. Okay, so this x will be 3y minus 9. And I'm going to plug it into the second one. This is 7x minus 2y equal to negative 6, right? And I'm going to use my right-hand side to replace x here. So that's called a substitute because these are equal. So now I have a 7 times 3y minus 9 minus 2y equal to negative 6. So that means x is gone. X is replaced by 3y minus 9, right? Now this new equation, we only have a y, so we can solve for y, right? We multiply it in. So 7 times 3, 21y minus 7 times 9, 63. Okay, the rest just copy it down. And these two are the like term. You combine the like term, right? So that's 19y. We're going to add a 63 on both sides. So this will be gone. All right. And then 63 minus 6, this will be 58, 57. Okay. And then we divide by both sides by 19. Okay. So y will be equal to 3. Okay. 57 divided by 19 will be 3. Now we can plug y back to here. So x is 3y, y is 3 minus 9. So x will be 0. Okay, so this solution will be 0 and 3. You write down in the order pair. So that's 0 and 3. All right, and so now you have this solution here, right? 0 and 3. Another quick and easy one is you can plug x equal to 0, y equal to 3 in to see if left equal to right. Okay, you can check both of them, and if left equal to right, that means you got a right solution. Okay, so that is called using the substitution. Any questions? All right, so that is the first one. Okay, so second one right here, same thing. You can using the substitution. This one even easier. It's already giving you y equal to negative 3, right? So you only need to solve for x. Okay, so the second one here, my x minus 3y, y is negative 3 equal to 11. Okay, so x 3, that is 9, right? And then you minus 9 on both sides, so x will be equal to 2. So this solution, x is 2, y is negative 3. Y already give it to you, so you don't have to solve y. All right, so that is the substitution, okay? So y substitution is easy because when like this one, you already have a y, you solve for x easier. This one substitution is also easy because you have this coefficient of the x is 1, so you have only one x. So you don't have to divide by the coefficient of the x. So when you see have a 1x, 1y, those substitution will be really easy. Okay. Number 3, solve this one by elimination. Okay. Usually on the test, we don't really limit which method you use. Actually, I cannot tell which method you use, right? So even if you use a calculator for this one, it will be still okay. But elimination, that means you're using the addition, right? Addition. Let's do the number 4 first, and then we can come back to the number 3. So number 4, this one, if you're doing the elimination, is perfectly very quick and easy, right? So what is the elimination? Or sometimes we call it addition, right? So we have x plus y and x minus y, they both are equal to 9. All right, so look at this one right here. If I add these two equations together, I have a positive y, negative y, they both cancel it out. So I have x plus x is 2x, right? And then this positive y minus y is 0. So I don't have to do the plus 0. 9 plus 9 will be 18. So I have a 2x equal to 18. Or we divide by both sides by 2x will be equal to 9. All right, so look at that, how quick this one, I just add the two equations together and I solve for x already. So that's called elimination because I add the two equations together, I eliminated the y. Okay, and after I find the x, I can plug it into the first one, x plus y equal to 9, right? And x equal to 9, 9 plus y equal to 9. So 9 and 9 minus or cancel out, so y will be equal to 0. Or you can just minus 9 on both sides. Okay, so y is 0. So now I have x is 9, y is 0. Okay, so look at this one right here. Remember, always have x first, y second. Okay, otherwise you will confuse choose B or D. So D is the correct answer because you always need to write the x first, y second. All right, so that is called elimination method. Very quick and easy, that one. For number 3, elimination method is not actually number 3. If I have a choice, I will choose the substitution method. You know why? Because I have 1x here. I can solve for x equal to 5y plus 35. And I can plug it into the second one. 5x minus 4y equal to 28, right? And I can do this one. Look at it. Okay. Equal to 28. So this one, substitution method will be really easy. And then that's 25y plus 25, 15, 175, right? Minus 4y equal to 28. And then these two added together will be 21y. We're going to minus 175 on both sides. Okay, so this will be negative 150. I'm sorry. Let's see. 7 28 7 147, right? And then we divide both sides by 21. Y will be equal to what? 7. Okay, and then you can plug it into here to find the x. So x will be 5 times 7 plus 35. So that will be 70, right? So we have this one. Oh, no. 35, 35. Okay, so don't look like we have an answer in this one in here. Okay, so let's check our answer. X is 5y plus 35. Okay, so 5y plus 35 times 5 minus 4y equal to 28. So 25 minus that 21. 5 times 35 times 5. Okay, so anyone give me a quick calculation? How much is 35 times 5? 175. So that's right. Okay, 175. And then we minus 175 on both sides. 28, right? And that's negative. I'm sorry, I forgot a negative here. That's why I didn't forget a negative in here. All right, my mistake. Okay, so everything is right except forgot that this got a negative in here. All right, so now we got the answer. Okay, so this is negative 35, so x will be 0, right? So it will be 0, negative 7, all right? So that is called using the substitution. And how do I using the elimination? Okay, so if I want to do the equation by elimination method, what do I do? Well, I will need to make an exact opposite in order to eliminate something. Okay, so let's see. X minus 5y equal to 35. And I have a 5x minus 4y equal to 28. So in order to use the elimination, I have to make an exact opposite, right? So this none of the x or y can have an exact opposite. So you will need to go to make a one exactly opposite. So I'm gonna cancel the x1 first, because if I want to cancel y, I have to multiply both equations. Okay, the LCD will be 20. Now I have to multiply both equations. But if I multiply the first one by negative 5, I can cancel my x. Okay, so this will be negative 5x. And then negative, this will be 25y, right? And then this multiply will be negative 175. Look at it. So this first equation multiplied by negative 5, I get this new equation. Okay, and then I add these two together, so this will be cancelled out. And then this will be 21y equal to negative 147. Okay, and then you divide both sides by 21, so you got a negative 7. So you got exactly the same answer as we did using the substitution. All right, and how do I solve for x? The same thing, my x will be 5y plus 35. So plug y equal to negative 7 in. All right, so your y x will be 0. So you have a 0 and negative 7. Okay, so you can use the substitution method, or you can use the elimination method. If you want to use the elimination method, you have to have an exact opposite. Look at this one, positive y, negative y, so you can cancel it out. This one, if you do not have an exact opposite, you need to multiply a number called LCM, this common multiply, in order to make it the opposite. Okay, so I make the first one multiply by negative 5. I have a negative 5x here, so I can cancel it out. All right, any questions? So this is called using the addition, substitution. This is all doing by hand. Okay, is there any way I can do this one in a calculator? The answer will be yes. All right, and in order to use the calculator here, you need to write down this equation into a matrix form. Matrix. Okay, so what is the matrix? Matrix, let's talk this one, and then we're gonna come back to this one. So this is the matrix. Okay, the 4.2 is about the matrix. The matrix is only write down a coefficient without a variable, but you must have a x1, y1, or whatever variable you use. You must put everything in the order. Okay, so that's the matrix. All right, so write down this system associated the urban matrix. Do not solve. Okay, so this one didn't ask you to solve, we just need to write down the matrix into the real equation. So basically, this one is 3x. This is using x1, x2, x3 instead of using x, y, z, right? So whatever variable you want to use, that's fine. You can using the 3 x, y, z, because this got 3 variable. But this one, the question using x1, x2. Okay, so this will be, the first one will be 3x1, 3x2, 5x3 equal to negative 2. So that's the coefficient of that. Okay, right hand side is the constant number. And then the second one will be 5x1 plus 0x2 plus 7x3 equal to 4. Okay, and then that's 3x1 plus 6x2 plus 0x3 equal to 2. But we usually don't have to write down this one. Actually, we don't have to write down the 0 one in here. But when you write down a matrix, you do have to add a 0. Okay, so let's see which one do we have. The first one didn't look right because this one is not a -3. C doesn't look right either, right? Because you have this side is not a -2. Okay. So let's see. You can compare B. B looks about right? 3x1, 3x2, 5x3 equal to -2. 5x1 plus 7x3 equal to 4. 3x1 plus 6x2 equal to 2. So B is the correct answer. Okay. You can say D is incorrect because you can just check the right hand side. This is -4, -2. So D is incorrect. All right. If you want to, if you have a multiple choice, you just check the right hand side. That's really quick and easy. Okay. So if you only check the right hand side, will be only either A or B is correct, right? The C and D is already incorrect. And then you go to check the coefficient in here. The A is incorrect because this is +3. All right. So B is the correct answer. Okay. All right, so the question here is, if I giving you this B equation, can you write down this matrix? The answer should be yes. Okay, that is the one we can solve for x1, x2, x3 by using a calculator. So this one, if you have a missing variable, you must add a 0 in here. So look at it. X1, okay, and then X2, I have this second one missing the X2, so you need to add a 0 X2 here. The third equation, I'm missing the x3, so you need to add a 0 x3 in here. So you can write down this equation, this matrix, okay? So as long as you can convert this equation into the matrix, we can use the calculator to write down, to solve this one by using a calculator, okay? But you need to know how to write down the matrix first. All right. So this one, as you do not solve, you just need to write down the equivalent equation. This one is you want to write down this equation into the matrix. Okay, so now you can see this equation, the first one, this only got two variables, right? So 6, 4 and 30, 6, 4 and 30 right here. So the first one, A is incorrect. This one is also incorrect, right? So 6, 4 and 30. So only just look at the first equation, either B or D, right? And then this one is missing the x1, so you need to write down the 0 x1. So you have a 0 in here, and then the coefficient of the x2 is 8. So D is the correct one, okay? That is the missing equation for that. Okay, so if you want to write down, if you do not know how to find the matrix, you can write down this one by your own. 6x1, 4x2 equal to 30. And this is missing x1, so you need to have a 0 x1 plus ax2 equal to 72, right? So now your matrix will be 6, 4, and 30, right? And then this will be 0, 8, and 72. Okay, so that will be your matrix in this case. All right, and this matrix is called 2 by 3. 2 by 3. So what does 2 by 3 mean? That means 2 rows, 3 columns. Okay, just like an Excel spreadsheet, right? This is kind of like an Excel spreadsheet. You have this is called rows. Okay, this is rows, and then this the vertical one is called columns, right? So you have a rows. Okay, this is the rows. All right, and then you have this one is called a column. All right, so you have a row and column, and then this one you have 2 rows, 3 columns. So it's called 2 by 3, right? Okay, so number 7 here is identify the row operation that produce the resulting matrix. Remember, in this equation, we can multiply both sides by the same number, right? you can either multiply the positive or negative number. Same thing as the matrix, right? If I multiply same number, it will produce the same matrix, new matrix, but they should be equivalent, right? So identify the low operation that produce the resulting matrix. So what is this low operation? I have a 1, -3, 4. So this one you still have a 1, -3, 4. So this low stay the same. You can switch the low. You can have a, move this one up, right? Just like the equation, you can write down this one on the top, this one in the bottom. Same thing as the matrix, right? You can exchange the row, okay? You can exchange the rows. You can add the rows together. You can multiply a row, okay? All right, so let's see this one right here. So the first one, the row did not change. Row 1 did not change, right? So either A or B, because row 1 did not change. This one, row 1 did not change, but this one, row 2, okay, row 2, you become a -1, -6, so 3. So that's if you do not know this one, we can go through one by one to see what does A mean in here. Okay, so that's what is the A operation in here. A here is a row 1 plus -1 times row 2, replace row 2. Okay, so that's row 1 plus -1 times row 2, replace row 2. So we can do this calculation to check if this is correct. All right. So if I have a row 1, which is, okay, we can write down this row 1. Row 1 is 1, -3, and 4, right? And then plus this row 2 multiplied by -1. So row 2 is multiplied by -1. This will become, this is row 1. Row 2 times -1 will be -2, -3, and -1. Okay, so that's row 2 times -1. And then if you add these two together, okay, you add these two together, let's see what we get. So add these two rows together, right? Row 1 plus row 2 times -1. So 1 plus -2, you got -1. -3 plus -3, you got -6. Okay, 4 plus -1, you got 3. Oh, looks like that's exactly correct. Okay, and then you have this one replace row 2. Okay, so replace row 2. So yeah, so A is the correct operation. So we have row 1. Row 1 did not change, right? But you're using row 1 plus row 2 times -1, and you press row 2 replace. So this arrow means replace row 2. So that's exactly right. Okay, if you look at C, why C is incorrect? C is row 2 multiply -1 replace row 2, right? So this one, if you just multiply by -1, you're gonna get -3, -2, -3, and -1. So this is row 2 multiplied by -1. But replace row 2, no, it didn't replace row 2 because it's not this number. Okay. All right. So apparently this row 2 multiply -1, and you add a row 1 again, and then you got this number. So A is the correct one. Okay. And you can see why B is incorrect. Or B said replace row 1, right? Row 1 did not get replaced. Look at it. Row 1 is still 1, -3, 4. So it didn't replace anything for the row 1. So B apparently is incorrect. Okay. D here, let's see D here. Is D here correct? Well, D here is that using row 1 multiply -1 plus row 2 replace row 2. Okay. So we do not know if D is correct or not, but we can check D. Okay. Row 1 multiply -1. So this will be 1 times -1. So it will be -1, 3, -4, right? So everything will be opposite. and then plus low 2. Okay, so where's my low 2? Low 2 is 2, 3, and 1. And then you add them together. Okay, you add them together. So this will be 1, this will be 6, this is negative 3. Apparently, this replace low 2. Apparently, this one is not, right? This is, if you want to choose D, this should be 1. And this is negative 1. This should be 6, but this is negative 6. So that is incorrect. So D is incorrect. Okay, so the only correct answer will be just A. All right, so that is called a low operation in here. Yeah, you can add, subtract, you can multiply, you can add the low operation, right? Okay, so let's look at this one right here. Identify the low operation that produce the resulting matrix. Okay, so you can see this one right here. 309, 309, same thing, low 1 did not replace. So if you have anything that replace low 1, that should be incorrect, right? Because low 1 stay the same. Unless you multiply and then replace low 1, unless you go through all these operations, still result the same thing as the original number, okay? But if I want to check, this won't be my first one to check. I want to check the low 2 did got replaced, okay? But if you want to check in order A, B, C, D, that's fine. We can check A to see what the A result in. Okay, you want to say A replace low 1, right? But we don't know. Maybe this operation resolve the same thing. So let's see what we get in A. So that's number A. Okay, 1/3 low 1. So we can calculate 1/3 low 1 here. So 3 times 1/3 will be 1, right? 0 times anything, still 0. 9 times 1/3, so this will be 3, right? And then plus low 2. So where's my low 2? My low 2 is negative 2, 4, and 6. And then these two add them together. Okay, so add them together, this will be negative 1, 4, and 9. All right, so this is the result, and replace low 1. Now the low 1 still 3, 0, and 9, so this is incorrect, right? But like I said, if I see the low 1 stay the same, I'm not going to calculate this one on the first one unless I couldn't find anything in replacement in low 2. Maybe, you know, in a very, very rare occasion, this operation come out exactly the same as the original one, okay? But usually that's not the case most of the time, all right? So usually in this case, I'm not going to check A and D on the, at the beginning. Unless I couldn't find the answer, I will come back to check A and D. Otherwise, I will jump into B and C first, okay? Because B and C, you can see apparently this low 2 got replaced, okay? All right, so let's look at B. Low 1 plus, okay, so low 1, I copied down the low 1, 3, 0, and 9. That's my low 1. My low 2 need to multiply 1/2. 1/2 low 2. So let's see 1/2 low 2, what do we get? This divided by 2, right? So we have a negative 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to add them together. Okay, this is low 1 plus 1/2 of low 2. So that should be 2, 2, and 12. Okay, so it doesn't look right because this is 0, 2, and 6. Okay, so this is said this one gonna replace by low 2. So B is the incorrect one. A is the incorrect one. Okay, so my good chance might be C. If C is incorrect, we can check a D. All right. Okay, so let's check a C here. 1/3 low 1. Okay, so we're gonna go to calculate 1/3 low 1. So low 1 divided by 3 or multiplied by 1/3. So that'll be 1, 0, and 3, right? And then low 2, 1/2 of low 2. So low 2 divided by 2 will be negative 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so these add them together. Let's see what we got. We got 0, 2, and 6. Okay, so we have this one replace low 2. So yeah, this 0, 2, and 6. 0, 2, and 6 replace low 2. So C is the correct answer. Okay, yeah, all right. So that is called a low operation in here. So you can see, yeah, you can multiply, you can add, you can subtract. Okay, subtract is just kind of multiply a negative coefficient, right? It's similar. Okay, number 9 here, using the Goff-Jordan elimination. So this looks like a very fancy name in here, but it's the same thing, right? You can, using the elimination, okay? So x2, you can add them together, cancel out. All right, so this one, you just using the addition, basically, or elimination for number 9, okay? x1 plus x2 equal to 0, x2 minus x2 equal to x1. All right, so this quick and easy one, it just add these two together, right? And then this cancel out, okay? And 2x1 equal to 12. 0 plus 12 is 12. Divided by both sides by 2. So this x1 will be 6, right? And then you can plug it into the 6 plus x2 equal to 0. So your x2 here will be negative 6, right? So you have a 6 and negative 6. Write down x1 first, x2 second. Okay? So that one, yeah, that one you can quick and easy to solve. Okay? Using the value to find the ABCD in this matrix, okay? So we have a matrix addition, subtraction. In order for the matrix to be able to add and subtract, you have to be the same size, okay? All right, so what does this one mean in here, or number 10? You have we have this matrix called, we usually call this is A11, A12, right? And then this is, so we're using the Aij to represent the row and then column, okay? A11, what does A11 mean? That means the fourth row. A11, that means the fourth row, fourth column, okay? Fourth column. A12 here, that means fourth row, second column, all right? And then this one, you can see this one is in the second row, right? Second row. So this will be A21, and then this one will be A22. Okay, that's the position for the row and column. So that means this one is the second row. Okay, and then second column in here. All right, so a little bit of identification in here. Okay, so if you use this one right here, A plus 0 will equal to 3. Okay, so that is this one right here. A plus 0 equal to 3, right? So this is A11 plus B11 equal to C11. Okay, that's the first equation. And then the second equation here is B plus 5 equal to 7. B plus 5 equal to 7. Okay, and then this is C plus negative 4 equal to 2. C plus negative 4 equal to negative 2. And then the last equation here will be D plus 7 equal to negative 1. All right, so now you go to find your ABCD in here. Okay, you find the ABCD. You can solve for this one right here. A will be 3, right? And then the second one right here, solve for B will be minus 5 on both sides. B will be 2. C, add a 4 on both sides. Add a 4 on both sides. C will be 6, right? And then D here, you minus 7 on both sides. So D here will be negative 8. Okay. All right. And then you write down the ABCD in the matrix, right? So that is 3, 2, 3, 2. Okay. So you write down the ABCD in here. ABCD. A here is 3. B here is 2. C here is 6. D here is negative 8. So this one will be the correct answer, right? A, B, C, D. So that is this one right here. Okay? So that is the matrix application in here. So after we know the matrix a little bit, we can come back to solve this one right here. Okay, we can come back to solve this one. I told you that earlier that I can do this one by using the calculator instead of using the substitution or addition or elimination, right? Especially for number 3, this will be, a little bit challenging, right? To calculate by hand. Same thing as this one. If I do the matrix calculation, that will be really easy, okay? So if I want to do the matrix calculation, I have to write down the matrix first, okay? So now we can come back to solve by matrix. The A here, I write down in the matrix here, this will be 1, -3, and -9, right? And then this will be 7, -2, -6, okay? So we're gonna need to write down this one, put this one in a calculator, and then we're gonna using the load reference, RRF, or RRF, I think that's RRF, this function in a calculator to solve using the load reference. Okay, so let me show you the matrix if you want to do this one by the calculator. Okay, so first you have to input a matrix, right? So now matrix is a little bit hidden here. So it's second x, the matrix is in a blue color, so you need to hit second first. Second x inverse is matrix. Okay, so now I have this matrix in here. I need to go to the edit in order to input a matrix. So you need to go to the cursor number, 3 here, hit enter, right? And then this matrix usually default is 1 by 1. So you need to have a 2 enter, 3 enter, 2 by 3. Okay, and then we can input the matrix we have here. So this one is 1, right? So we have a 1, -3, okay, negative, need to use the parentheses, -3, okay, and -9. All right, and then I have a 7, -2, and -6. All right, so now this is my matrix here, okay? This is my new matrix, replace the previous one. All right, so, and then after I have a matrix, I need to go back to this matrix again. Okay, all right, mess up. Okay, I need to have a second matrix again. Okay, this time, the first time, remember the first time we go to the edit to input a matrix, and I remember I input my matrix A. Okay, so I need to come back to solve A. All right, so the second one is going to the math to find the load reference function that you want to, the RREF. Okay, so that's RREF, load reference equation function. Okay, and then we hit enter, and then we have to go back to the matrix again. All right, and remember the name we input into matrix A. So, if you input into the matrix B, you need to come back and find the name matrix B, right? But I remember I input into the matrix A, so I hit enter. Okay, and I hit enter again, and that is my answer. Okay, so how do you read this matrix answer? That means 1x plus 0y equal to 0. So that means 1x, that means x equal to 0. And this is 0x plus 1y equal to 3. So that means this is y equal to 3. So I have a x equal to 0, okay? This x equal to 0, y equal to 3. So let's see, go back to see our answer here, 0 and 3. So that's right, look at that. We're just using the calculator to solve. This is 1x. 1x, that means x equal to 0. 1y equal to 3. So you have 0 and 3. All right, so that's how you use the calculator to solve this matrix. Okay? I will show you one more question using the calculator. Okay, so let's look at our number. Okay, let's see which number. Number 2, you definitely do it by hand, because by the time you input a matrix, do it by hand will be easier. Okay, so not every question you have to input the calculator. All right, number 3, yeah, if you want to do number 3 by calculator, maybe number 3, the number is a little bit big, right? Remember, I have a little bit challenging calculate the number earlier, especially the negative, positive. So I am going to solve number 3 using the matrix, okay? All right, so we can clear everything in here. Second matrix. All right, if I really like my A, I can using other matrix, okay? Okay, I can go to edit and then like I say, if I want to input into my, like I say, I want to input into my G, okay? If I like the G, I want to input my G, that's fine. You can use any matrix name you want in here, right? So, and remember, I input into G, okay? So the default usually is 1 by 1, right? And then I need to see I have a 2 rows, 3 columns. So I need to have a 2 enter, 3 hit enter. All right, so now I have this 2 by 3 matrix, right? And this one, the coefficient for the first one will be 1 and then -5. So this is -5. All right, and then 35 in here, okay? And then this will be 5, -4, okay? And then 28. All right, so double check my coefficient, matrix coefficient, everything looks good. So I'm going to the second matrix again. I'm going to math, find my math function to solve. Okay, load reference equation. All right, and remember, oh, hold on. I forgot to go to the Venn. You have to come back to the Venn equation to do that. Okay, and then go to math. Okay, and then hit enter. So now you have this load reference in the Venn function here, and then go to find your matrix name. All right, so the name in here. So basically, it's kind of, you can see, go to the, very right, edit first, right? And then come back to the middle, go to math to find the load reference, and then come back to the names to find your matrix. All right, so now we have a G. We input a matrix into G, so I hit enter. So now I have a G in here, right? All right, so look at this one right here. I have a 1x equal to 0, 1y equal to -7. So 0 and -7 is my answer. 0, -7, right? Look at the number 3, 0 and -7. So we have all this big calculation in here, okay? And we're using the 2 different methods to find this one, substitution, elimination. Now we're using the calculator. Okay, so you can have all kinds of different methods to solve this one, and I think the calculator come out really handy, right? For this number, a little bit more challenging one. Okay, this kind of question you do it by hand really quick, so you don't need a matrix. All right, and like I said, this one or this one, or a little bit more complicated, or even you have at least 3. If I want to solve x1, x2, x3. This one, if you want to have a 3 equation using the matrix, will be really helpful, really quick. That one. You just enter, this will be 3 by 4, right? 3 columns, 3 rows, 4 columns. So you enter 3 by 4. And going through the same procedure, you will be able to solve 3 variables really easy by using the calculator. Okay? All right, now we're gonna look at the graphing for the chapter 5. This one is inequality, right? So how do we graph this one? In here, we can call using a testing point, right? Testing point in here. Okay, so let me look at this one right here. Okay, so number 11, if I want to graph y is less than -2. So first, I will need to graph y equal to -2 first, right? So this will be 0, 1, 2, 3, -1. Okay. -1, -2. So y equal to -2 is a horizontal line. Okay, but I don't have an equal sign in here. So if I don't have an equal sign, I need to use the dotted line. using the dotted line in here. Okay, so that is y equal to 2. Y equal to 2 will be a solid line, right? But these don't have an equal, so I'm using the dotted line. Okay, so it's kind of similar to y equal to -2, but using the dotted line. All right, so you want to be this, right? So what does this mean? Well, you can using a testing point in here is 0. If I using a testing point y equal to 0, is 0 less than -2? The answer would be no. 0 is not less than, 0 is greater than -2, right? So if I put this side, these lines separate the entire thing into 2 parts. One part is above, one part is below. Okay, since 0 is not less than, so this part is false. Okay, so the upper part is false, so the solution will be the other part. If this part is false, the other part must be true, right? So if I have a -5 in here, is -5 less than -2? The answer will be yes. Okay, the more the negative, like the more you owe, the poorer you are. So yeah, so the -5 is less than -2. So this is yes, the answer. So this side is the solution. Okay, so if you graph your own and then you go to check this one, right? So if you look at this one right here, looks like my print got chopped one graph in here. Should be A B C D, right? But if you go to look at this one, look at enlarge a little bit bigger. Okay, so this one is 10, right? This one is wrong. This one vertical one is wrong. Okay, so B looks correct because you have this one is -10, so each group will be -2, and then this one is dotted line, so B looks correct one. Okay. All right, so that is the horizontal line in here. Okay, how about this one? You have a straight line, okay, not a vertical, not a horizontal. So you have a x plus 4y greater than or equal to -3, right? So this one has an equal sign, so look at the line, it's all solid line, okay? So if anything is not a solid line, it will be incorrect, right? This one is do not have an equal sign, so if you have anything that is not a dotted line, will be incorrect, but the good thing is this all using dotted line, okay? And then this one has an equal sign, so every line has a solid line. Okay, so at least you can tell like this one. Okay, all right, so how do I graph this one? You will need to graph the equation first, as we mentioned earlier, and then going to use a testing point to see which part is the correct one. Okay, so how do I graph this one right here? X plus 4y equal to -3. Okay, I will a straight line, I will need 2 points to graph line. Okay, if I let y equal to 0, okay, so y equal to 0, I have x plus 0 equal to -3. So I have this point right here already. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, -3, y will be 0. Okay, so this one is 1 point. Okay, I have x equal to -3, y is 0. And if you let x equal to 0, actually y gonna be a fraction, so very hard to graph that one, right? So I usually, like I say, maybe I let x equal to 5. Okay, so look at it. If I let x equal to 5, I will get a integer for the y, right? So that will be easy to graph. Okay, so I have a 5 plus 4y equal to -3, and then I minus 5 on both sides, right? So this cancel out. this will be negative 8, so y will be negative 2. Look at that. So these both are integer, will be easier to graph. Okay, so I have when x equal to 5, y equal to negative 2. So this will be 3, 4, 5. Okay, all right, so 5 and negative 2 will be right here, right? And then I have a negative 3 and 0, so this will be graph 1 line like that. Okay, so you need to know how to graph the straight line. Okay, so now I have this straight line past negative 3 and 0, past 5 and negative 2. Okay, and then we're gonna go to say this one is greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to negative 3. So we're gonna go to use a testing point. Since this graph did not pass the 0 and 0, so I'm gonna using 0 and 0 because that's really easy to calculate, right? So when x equal to 0, y equal to 0, the left hand side will be 0. Is 0 greater than or equal to negative 3? Is this true? The answer will be yes. That is correct. That is true. Okay, so 0, 0 is on the top, so that means this side is the solution because I tested this point is above the 9, and the answer is true, is yes, 0 is greater than negative 3, so this part is the solution. Look at that. Everything above this 9 is the solution. Okay, so now we can go to check the line in here. You can see anything below is the incorrect one because the answer, the graph should be the above. Okay, and then we can go to, so this is above, and then we can check to see if this intersection is correct. All right, so where's the intersection? Intersection here should be negative 3, and then this one should be around like a 5 and negative 2, right? So you can go to enlarge this really big. Okay, enlarge this one really big, and then you can look at the answer, getting this one negative 3 and then 5 and 2, so this is pretty big, and then compare to the other graph to see which one is closer. Okay, so that is how you graph this one. All right, and this one is less than or equal to 8, so this will be very, very similar, right? Before I do this one in here for number 13, we have a 4x minus 2y less than or equal to 8. Look at it. If I want to graph this one, I want to simplify. I can divide both sides by 2. Since 2 is a positive number, right? So this will be 2x minus y less than or equal to 4. Okay, so if I graph this one, we're giving you the same thing as that one. Okay, so I need to graph the equation first. We always graph the equation. Okay, and then we're gonna go to pick up the 2 points. All right, so pick the 2 points in here. So you can do this one by hand, pick the 2 points. When x is 0, you're gonna have a 0 minus y equal to 4, so y will be negative 4, right? And this one, when y equal to 0, you're gonna have a 2x equal to 4, or x will be equal to 2. Okay, so this one, the reason, that's why I divided by 2, because they are equal, right? Even I divided by 2, they're still equal. So when x is equal to 0, y will be negative 4. All right, so this is the point. And when x is equal to 2, y will be 0. So this is the point. All right, so we can connect it. Connect these 2 points together. Okay, should be a little bit straighter. All right, this one is less than. Since the graph did not passing the 0 and 0, so I can still using this point. The reason I use this point, you can use any point in here, but the reason I using this point because it's easy to calculate, right? When x equal to 0, everything times 0 is still 0. Okay, and then 2 times 0 or 4 times 0, 2 times 0, less than or equal to 4, right? And the answer is 0 less than or equal to 4. Actually, that's true. Okay, so this is true. So true, that means this side is the solution. Okay, this point, this side is the solution. All right, so anything above this none is the solution. Look at that. Anything above this none is a solution. Okay, so now you know how this look like, and then you can go to choose the correct answer. Okay, so should be above this side. All right, so first you have to go to look at the graph to see if it's correct. Okay, so this graph passing 0 and -4, right? 2 and 0. Okay, so 2 and 0, 2 and 0. Okay, and this one you can see this one don't look correct because this one looks like a 0, x is 0, y is -4, right? So this one is much lower than the -4, so that one doesn't look right. Okay, this one on the other hand looks about right because you can see this one, this is 10, right? So each group should be 2, okay? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, right? You can see this one is 10, so this should be 2, this one should be -4, so that looks about right. Even I don't have a complete graph, I'm missing one graph in here, but this looks about right. Okay, so that is how you graph this kind of inequality. Okay, and if you have a two inequality equation, how do you graph them? Actually, it's very similar. You just need to graph two lines and look at their common part. Okay, so it's pretty much, if you have a two inequality, it's very similar to graph one inequality, but you just have to satisfy both of them. So look at the common part here. All right, so let's look at how do I graph this one. Or we can graph number 15 first, and because 15 is easier than 14, basically. All right, so let's see how do we graph 15 first. Okay, and then we're gonna come back to the number 14. Okay, so 15x will be greater than y greater than -2. So I will go to graph y equal to -2, which is in here, right? So this don't have an equal sign, so I need to use the dotted line. All right, and then to see greater than -2, to see if we're up or down. Okay, and then we're using a testing point in here. 0 is 0 greater than -2. When y is 0, the answer will be true, right? 0, it is greater than -2. So that means the upper part is the solution. Anything above is the solution. Okay, and then we're gonna look at x greater than or equal to 5. So you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and this one has an equal sign, so you're using the solid line for this one. Okay, using a solid line. Greater than or equal to 5. So if we put x equal to 0 in here, is 0 greater than or equal to 5? The answer will be false. Okay, so that is not true. So when this side is not true, the other side is a solution. Okay, so this side is a solution. All right, so now I have to satisfy both, right? I have to satisfy both y greater than -2, x greater than or equal to 5. So which part is a solution? The overlap. So I cannot have an overlap right here. So this part will be the overlap. Look at it, the red one right here. Okay, and also so basically it's from here. This part is the solution. Look at that. This part is the solution. Okay, so that's their common part. So apparently this one is wrong, right? You can see this one is wrong, and then this one is also wrong. Okay, and this one let's see, negative x y greater than -2. 5. So yeah, this one C looks about right. Okay, C looks about right. So that is how you identify identify the correct one, right? So you look at the common part, overlap part. Okay, so my overlap part here is this part in here. Okay, all right. So now let's look at number 14. Okay, so how do I graph this one right here? This one right here, same thing. I need to graph both one. As we said earlier, you graph 2 is very similar to graph 1, right? Just need to find a common part. Okay, so x greater than or equal to 2y. So I'm going to graph x equal to 2y first, right? We always graph the equation. And then we have a x and y. We're going to have x equal to 0, y will be 0. Okay, so we have a 0, 0 in here. And then, well, when x equal to, or you can say when y equal to 1, right? And then x will be 2. 2 times 1 equal to 2. So when x equal to 2, y will be equal to 1. So 2x equal to 2, y equal to 1. So we right here, right? So you connect these 2 points together and then extend that. So that is x, and then we want to have x greater than or equal to 2y, right? So now I cannot using the 0 and 0, this point, my favorite point anymore, because my favorite point is passing the line. So if I put a 0, 0 will be still equal, right? So now I need to put something above this line in here. So this point right here, or you can have a 3, right? So when x equal to, I'm going to using this point, okay? Using the point on the y will be easier. So this point right here will be x is 0, y is 3, okay? So when I put x is 0, y is 3. So 2 times 3 will be 6, okay? So I put this point right here, 0 and 3. So it's 0 greater than or equal to 6. The answer will be false. So that means this part is not a solution. So solution will be the other part, because that part is false. So solution will be below this one, okay? All right, so we identify the first one. We go to do the second one right here. Second one is, okay, I'll give you a different color. So the second one here is x plus 2y equal to 6. Remember, we always using the equal sign, okay? And then we have a x and y. So when y is 0, x will be 6, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 6 right here. Okay, and then when x is 0, y will be 2y equal to 6 divided by 2. So this will be 3, right? So when x is 0, y is 3. So right here. So now we have these 2 points right here, and this also has an equal sign. All right, so we connect these 2 points together. Okay, so we call this is 9, 2, or 9, 2. This is 9, 1, right? So this is 9, 2. This is 9, 1. All right, and the 9, 2, it didn't pass the 0, 0. So I can using the 0, 0 as my test point, right? So I using 0, 0 to test this one. So that's why I'm using the 0, because 0 times everything, so left hand side will be 0. It's 0 less than 6. The answer will be yes, it's true. So that means anything below this one is the solution. This one is true. All right. And then we're going to look at the overlap part. So which part is overlap? All right. So looks like this part. Anything right here is overlap. Anything up to here. Okay. So you can see the green one. So this is starting from here. Oh, do not cross this line in here. Oh, yeah. All right. So it's only up to here, right? Up to here. All right, so this green part is the solution right here. Okay, so now you can go to, now you have the graph, you can go to look at the solution in here. So you can see A definitely is not correct, C is not correct, right? And you can look at the B here. So does B look about right? Okay. You can go to do a little bit this passing the 0, right? So below them, and then passing this one right here. So you can go to look at a little bit more detail. Is this 0 and 3, right? So that's about right. And then this is 2, 4, 6. So that is about right. Okay, that one. So now you can go to look at this kind of graph. All right. Okay, there's another D you can compare with that one. So that is how you graph two. Basically, if you know how to graph one inequality, you can graph two, right? So just repeat the process and then find a common path. Okay. All right. So why we all using this graph? Because we want to solve this kind of equation in here. Okay. We want to find a minimum or maximum for the problem. Okay, so using the graphing method to solve the linear programming problem, the linear programming problem is very useful, right, in business. Okay, so giving you a maximized equation in here. Okay, if whatever this equation represented the company's revenue or profit or whatever there, right? And then you want to subject to this constraint, okay? You want to subject all these conditions, and then you want to find a maximum, okay? This one you want to find a minimum subject to all these conditions. This one you also want to find a maximum subject to all these conditions. So these three are very, very similar. These kind of questions are very, very similar, okay? If you know how to do one question, you can do all the rest of them. It's very similar. It's just a number a little bit different, okay? All right, so let's see how do we do this one. First, we have to do the graphing, okay? So we can find the points, all right? So I'm gonna just do one question only because they are very, very similar. All right, so number 16, we have a z equal to 6x plus 7y. And then we want to find the maximum, so I need to find which g value will be the highest one. So that's the maximum, right? If you want to find the minimum, you find the lowest value for the z, okay? And this is the condition, so you can see x greater than or equal to 0, y greater than or equal to 0. That means they are all in the fourth quadrant, right? This is all x is similar, right? X had to be positive, y had to be positive. So we only just consider the fourth quadrant only. All right, only the Q1, okay, because x had to be positive, y also had to be positive. Not the second, this is Q2, right? And Q3, Q4. So these are no consideration in the real application. We only consider the fourth quadrant, Q1. Okay, so we also have to go to do the graphing, right? So this x greater than equal to 0, so this is already used. We have to go to look at these two equations, two inequality, okay? So we're gonna need to graph this one right here. Okay, I can put this one a little bit shorter because I don't need this one down here. Okay. All right. So the first one here is 2x plus 3y need to be less than or equal to 12, right? So we need to graph 2x plus 3y equal to 12 first, okay? So same thing, put a number in here. When y is 0, this will be canceled out. So 2x equal to 12, x will be 6. When x equal to 0, this will be gone. 3y equal to 12, so y will be 4, right? So we have x is 6, y is 0, this is 4, all right? So we're gonna just graph this together right here, okay? And that is my line 1, okay? This is called the line 1 in here. And this has to be less than or equal to, right? Less than or equal to. So if I'm using the test point 0 and 0, 0 less than or equal to 12, the answer will be yes. So this part is the solution inside here, okay? Same thing, we're gonna look at the line 2, okay, L2 in here. Okay, so L2, we're gonna have a 2x plus y need to be less than or equal to a, right? So we're gonna have a x and y. Remember, we're gonna do the equal sign first. So when x is 0, y will be a. When y is 0, you have a 2x equal to a, so x will be 4. Okay, so this is 4 and 0 right here, and then this will be a. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And then so this line 2 will look at something like that. This is our line 2, L2. All right, so now we're gonna look at the common part. If I using 0 and 0, 0 is less than or equal to a, the answer will be yes. So this is our common part right here. Okay, or I can using the green one again, or maybe the yellow one. Don't look very, okay, green one. All right, so this green one right here, this is our area. Okay, so now we're gonna have to go to find our z value. So we have these 4 points right here. We have a 0, 0, and then we're gonna call this is point A, point B, point C. So we're gonna need to go to use these 4 points to find the x and y, and then plug it into this value. Okay, we're gonna need to go to find a pair of x and y, and then calculate the z. So this point right here is 4 and 0. That's why this graph is so important in here. So the A point, point A, okay, so we're gonna have a x and y. And then we're gonna have a z is equal to 6x plus 7y, right? And then 0, 0, if you plug a 0, 0 in, everything will be 0. So that, the old point, x is 0, y is 0, z will be 0, right? And of course, 0 is not a maximum. And then we have this point. We cannot use this point because this point is not in a point A here. X is 4, y will be 0. So if you plug it into here, 4 times 6 plus 7 times 0, right? This will be 0, so that's 24. Apparently 24 is greater than 0, right? And then we're gonna go to look at the point B. Point B is the challenging part, okay? So we're gonna look at the C here. This C here is C here, okay? We're gonna look at the C here. C here, x is 0, y is 4, okay? So we plug a C in here. When x is 0, so 6 times 0 plus 4 times 7, so that's 28. Okay, so apparently C is already greater than A. So this point C here, when have this point C here is 28. We have another point we haven't calculated, which is B. Okay, so how do we calculate the B? That is the challenging part. Okay, and that's why the equation, we have to solve the common part, these two lines. Okay, so what are the 2 lines? One line is 2x plus 3y equal to 12. So that's your line 1. Your line 2 here is 2x plus y need to be equal to a. All right, so you need to go to solve for these 2 for the intersection point B. This one, since I got 2x in here, right? We have a 2x, we have a 2x in here. So if you want to put in a matrix, using a matrix will be fun. But I'm gonna just do the subtraction in here because I have a 2x. I can just using the first one minus the second one, using the first equation minus the second equation. This is the first one. This is the second one. So 2x minus 2x will be 0. 3y minus y will be 2y. 12 minus 8 will be 4, so I can get a y equal to 4 right away. Okay, and I can plug it into the second one to find the x. So 2x plus 2 equal to 8, right? This one. and then I minus 2 on both sides, so this will be 6, x will be 3. So my intersection point here, x is 3, y is 2, okay? And then we're gonna go to find a z for this one. So we're gonna compare this one, okay? Compare this one, point B here, g is, they don't have enough for you. G here is 6 times x, x is 3, plus 7 times y here is 2, right? So we're going to have 18 plus 14, which is equal to 32. Okay, so 32 is the maximum. Look at it. So if we want to find I'm going to try to, all right, so we have a point B here, right? Okay. I'm trying to do this table in here. Okay. If you compare this one, this 32 with the previous one we calculate this one is 24 and 28, right? And then we have a B here. Okay, we have a B here is 3 and 2. And then G here we just calculate is 32. So this is the maximum. Okay, compare 32 with 28 and 24. 32 is the maximum. All right. So that means this maximum happen this 18 plus, this happen in a point B. So point B when x equal to 3, y equal to 2 is the maximum. All right. So that's why this one graphing is very important. You have to go to graph and then find a common point, find a common area. And then after you find a common area, you calculate the corner point because the minimum or maximum all happen in the corner point. Okay, so we have a 4 corner point. You plug this 4 xy into the z and then calculate to see which one is the minimum, which one is the maximum. And we calculate the B here. The point B here is the maximum, right? But because the point B here, G will be equal to 32. G here is equal to 32. Okay? All right, so that is giving you the review for the chapter 4 and 5, okay? I showed you how to do that by hand, showing you how to do that by the calculator. All right, and again, this one, it is recorded, so I will post the link for the recording, okay?